Thanks everyone for coming back. We're looking at season 5. We're going to do a bit of an intro before we jump into anything modules or complex tasks. So far, we've done a lot of great work. So let's kick this one off. Again, I have put up in Git the relevant files for this one. Please go over and check it out. Once again, it's up to you to move them into the respective directories. Feel free to modify, have a play as you need. Before we jump too far, we're going to have a think about, well, what is a play? We've done some great work on an inventory, some groups, host files, where they all going. It's a little bit keyboard warrior work so far. Now you're going to actually get to execute. And what is a play? That's the first thing we're going to do. A play is a set of implicit instructions on how to do something. And that can be from retrieving configurations or a bit of reconnaissance, issuing configs, so pushing. It can be executing tasks locally if you've got something like a Linux server, or if you wanted to even use your laptop or a Bastion host to do some confirmation that your changes have worked, so you can do pings, etc., etc. How does it do this? The plays will refer to a module, and a module is, in the world of Ansible for networking, it's a series for the most part of Python scripts and interpret arguments from Ansible specific language into Pythonic, if you can use that term, arguments. But it's also how it retrieves that information. So if you have a bit of an experience in expect scripts, you could think of it on steroids, how it interprets information. So it sends, interprets, displays back to the operator, which is you, me, everybody. These come from the Ansible community, Ansible themselves, or if you're even experienced, you can generate your own modules. And we call a module in a play, and I'll show you exactly how to do that. How do we execute plays? It's actually a good one. There's an actual command called Ansible-Playbook. And after that, path to the inventory, path to the playbook itself. And I'd mention paths because we're executing this from the perspective of a project, and our project is Learn Ansible. For example, you might have a project which is all about backups. So you may reference Ansible Playbook, path to your inventory that's specific to that project, path to the play specific to that project. So it's now time to really look at the basics of a playbook. As we shrink my head again. So let's actually look at the subline below. So we start off, point of discussion 1. It's a YAML file, dash, 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 the way we start a YAML file and declare it. The second point of discussion, as we go down the page, we give this playbook a name at a high level, and this is just Season 5 Intro to a Play. The hosts that we're going to call. So who is this going to be executed against? And I've got a group called CPEs here. Gather facts. Now, in the world of Ansible for networking, the modules are actually run on your Ansible machine. So here, that would be my Pop Linux laptop. So you're just going to get gobbledygook back. So for now, we will gather facts no at this point. Tasks, point of discussion 4. I must have just covered that. 5, sorry. What task will follow in the specific criteria? So under tasks, you could have a series of subtasks. For here, we've got a name, for example, and we give it a name that we're going to understand, especially when you're trying to go back through your Ansible playbooks. So give it something very easy to read, and when you see it come across the screen very quick, I put some markers that I'll be able to see and catch, such as the equals equals in brackets, and note that the brackets will capture that as one comment, because I've got a colon there. If that wasn't, it would then, well, it just wouldn't work. And Number 7, how I spoke about modules as police or something go past. Ios Facts is a specific module, and under that, you could have more specific facts. I also show in this particular one here, you could do multiple tasks against multiple hosts in one holistic playbook. There's better ways of doing this, but I've just shown you there below how to actually do this. So in the first one, we're running a play against CPEs, and what we're going to do is invoke a module called Ios Facts. It's going to do something. That completes. Then it goes to the next one, which is against a single host called WhatSRX01. If you have a look at the inventory file, that's my Juniper SRX. And we're going to go and we're going to get some Junos Facts. Excellent. And where do these plays live? They live in Ansible plays, then the play name. But before we go on to the actual execution, I know you're getting very bored. I just want you to be able to learn how to learn. So let's open that up now. So in the Ansible modules, we see that someone comes into the house. Hope they don't interrupt. There's going to be a lot of modules, and you're going to have to learn how the various modules work. Don't be one of those people who just accepts plays. Go and learn a bit more about it. So most of the Ansible modules you will find, let's just open it up. So here's something I did earlier if I didn't press enter. For example, we're about to, don't need me for a minute. What you can do is you can just Google Ansible network modules, and it will take you to this page here. There are an extensive amount of modules. And for this one, we want to understand a little bit more about our first module called Ios Facts. Now, I've obviously Control F, Ios Facts. Now, make sure you don't click 40 Ios Facts because that's there. I just want to look at Cisco Ios Facts, which, if you click, opens this window here. And it tells us more about this module and how to use this module. It tells us who also created this module and if there's any dependencies. So you can peruse all that, but we're going to look at examples of the actual play. You can also get a gauge of how well this is written by the amount of examples, and you will use this extensively. It also tells us a bit about the return modules, which for this one is key, because initially we're just going to run it, and we're going to get a lot of data back. Instead, we could actually say, I only want to know a certain fact, which at the moment may not make sense. It will in a second. We're also, as I said in this play, we are going to run a second play, which is Junos Facts. So I've also gone and clicked on a bit more about Junos Facts as a module. It tells us again how we're going to get the data back, what's it going to look like, and any sub-elements that may be as part of this module. Probably not the greatest one to use as an example, but we're going to do it. And who's this one by? Okay, maintained by the Ansible network team. Excellent. So let's go over to executing our first play. It's again the infamous, where can I put my head? My head can go there for now. So this is the steps we're going to go over. I can shrink my head. Yes, we don't need that. So we're going to go into the command line. And we are going to make sure we're in, what was it? Ansible. Oh, we're already there, by the way, PWD. And just to make sure it's all here, tree. You can ignore a lot of all that. you won't see that. So our path is, we're in the right path. The Ansible playbook command, Ansible dash play. You know what I haven't done? I haven't written the play. That would have been embarrassing. Let's actually go over and write the play. There would have been nothing to execute. So let's just do a live example. So it's a YAML file. Name. We're going to call this season 5 intro to our first play. Hosts. Notice my indentation, please. Hosts. First one's going to be against CPEs. We're going to gather facts. No, we are not, because as I said, that would execute locally. We don't. That's a waste of our time, and it does slow it down a lot. Now we're getting to our tasks. So the first task we're going to have is name. So I can see it clear. There's season 5 intro task 1, which is use the iOS. Be helpful if I did this. Use the iOS Facts module. Yep, cool. Now, that is a child of their iOS _ facts. That right there is enough to save and issue our play, and it will go run against CPEs. That group, if you recall, we made, which had what CPE0 and what CPE0, which is I think it was my 1111 and my 1800. But we want to do something further. We want to then go and do a second one. We want to just show a multi-part playbook. Let's give it a line. And we want this, that can be season 5 intro task 2, use the Ios Facts module. And I hope you're running along with me. Now, Ios, we actually want this against specific hosts. We want this run against, what was it? What? SRX01, which is the only SRX I have. I think I've also got one called SRXs. We want the tasks. We're only going to have one task in this, but the name of that task is, again, it's season 5 intro task 2. This is just a repeat of what I've done above. Use the Ios Facts module. And Ios _ facts is a child of this particular task and name. So right there, we can save this off. And we do so just by clicking save. Now, we go back to where we were. Ansible. So we issue Ansible -playbook, tab for completion. Now we specify the path to our inventory file, so -i, which is inventory inv. Excellent. Now it's going to find our hosts that are going to be in the playbook. So now we specify the path to the playbook, which I conveniently located in plays, and I believe we called it season. What did we call that? Oh, we called it play season 5E0.yaml. Now we can specify the verbosity of our output. Let's go with a single level, all the way up to 4. Let's just go with a single level. and we hit enter to execute. Now, at this point in time, remember how I've got an awesome home network? Yes, I know. It's not very professional. Hopefully it bombs out and I can actually run that again. What is my machine doing? It's having a think about life. Oh, I didn't want to show you that. Anyway, it's actually run, it's connected to the network. And as you can see, we've run this particular play against this particular inventory. I know it sounds a little bit backward. And remember, in that play, we had first part was what CPE01 and what CPE02. And what it's doing is it's getting facts. And as this is a very extensive list of facts, this was the first part of the play. It's gone and found all this information from interfaces, firmware versions, memory free. The configuration itself will all be in there. Then we've gone through and we had the next play, which was to look at the Juniper Facts module, which was going to run against a single host. It's key to point out that it's expanded the host for CPEs to be what CPE01 and what CPE02. That's excellent. Then it's come back and it's given us all this information, too much to really look at from the human eye. And we just get a receipt of our works. So the play has run successfully against CPE01, CPE02, and SRX01. Congratulations, you've successfully run your first play. Now, I will expand upon this quickly. Once again, you've got a 15-minute limit on YouTube. So what I'll do is we'll recap what we've just done, which was what is a playbook, how to understand the module support pages, which is going to be critical for iOS config, iOS commands, and how to execute a play, which was Ansible playbook, -I for the inventory, path to inventory, space play, parts of the playbook, enter. So in the next one, we're going to look at the iOS config module, but I will insert a bonus video quickly to talk about how we can take that gobbledygook on the screen and put it into a file that you can peruse in a nice JSON format. So everyone, again, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again very soon. Cheers all, as I press stop.